Knew there was something entrepreneurial inside of me, but where in the ecosystem that was going to play, like, not sure. Basically, everyone does an MBA is like a massive keynote. Let's form a team of like 5 badass women and we'll come up with an idea. We decided to create the very first version of the app ourselves. We're still hustling. We just have more people to hustle with and to try to. So like our first brand was like hot pink and purple, and they were like, yo, like, what is this? Like, we want pastel. It's an amazing journey being an entrepreneur. So I'm from South London originally. I'm half Armenian, half Maltese, which meant there was a lot of pressure to go and do something quite traditional at uni. So I went and studied law at Warwick, but quickly realised that actually I'd probably make a terrible, terrible lawyer. I quickly pivoted and ended up in consulting. So I started my grad scheme at Deloitte and actually started in the human capital team. So all things sort of people, mainly working in financial services. I suddenly realized that actually like innovation and digital stuff is like what I love. So I made a quick pivot over to strategy and operations, and then realized that actually like I don't think my heart and soul is into consulting. Like the impact I have here is pretty limited, and I think I'm meant for bigger things, but I don't quite know what that is. So I decided to go and do the MBA to take some time to figure out what that was. I always knew there was something entrepreneurial inside of me, but where in the ecosystem that was going to play, like, not sure. So I was like, yeah, MBA, that's me. But it costs like a shed load of money, which I don't have. I ended up leaving Deloitte, freelancing for about 18 months to get the cash together, to then go on to Oxford to do my MBA, which is where I met Joe, and yeah, where the idea of Luna came from. It's a really personal decision, and it's a really big investment, both in terms of like money, but also time. And if you have a family or like a partner or whatever, that's also a big investment from their point of view as well. It's really not for everyone, but I know in the UK, it's definitely not a path that's taken that frequently. And so when I left Deloitte, people were really saying to me, like, do you really want to do this? Like, you could become a manager and then a senior manager, and like, you know, your career path's still going to go up without an MBA. Whereas like, you know, you go to America and actually like you have to have an MBA to get up the ladder. So I think it really depends on personal situation. It's an amazing experience. You meet so many incredible people. Your network is open. I truly believe that, you know, if things didn't work out with Luna, which I really hope they do, that like any career is like now on the table, because there's someone who either knows someone who works there or works there themselves, and a quick message to say, hey, I went to this business school, like, can we just have a chat? It opens so many doors. So I just think it depends on like what people's end goals are. And if people know that their role in like medicine or whatever it is what they want to do long term, then I'd probably say like an MBA isn't the right path. But if it's actually I want to pivot, or actually I'm not sure, or I just want to have a backup, then I would say it's definitely worth considering. Yeah, I guess the first contact was basically everyone does an MBA is like a massive keynote. And anyway, before the program had even started, everyone was added to this Telegram group. So there was already like, you know, the minute you sort of accepted, you get added to this group, blah, 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 blah. And yeah, suddenly one day, like this link to donate came in because Joe was cycling to Vienna on her own. And I think like, number one, who is this mad person like doing this on their own? Also, number two, like kudos to you for being so bold to putting this to a group of people who you've like never met before. That takes serious guts to do that, because first impressions are everything, right? And I just thought, yeah, go you. And people did donate, and it meant like people then had something to say to you, like when they saw you, like, oh, were you the girl that cycled on your own to Vienna? So yeah, I think it was like boldness and like courage and just like a really like hell yeah kind of attitude. Then we met again through like one of the social things that we sort of organized, because it was this COVID year, everything was sort of left to us, and we had to sit in tables of six. So you just kind of go and park up and sit next to someone. And Joe was like, oh, I'm Joe. And I was like, oh, I've actually stalked you. We have really parallel, like similar. Like you worked at Deloitte. We both did internships at Barclays. Like, you know, that's like super weird. But like, are we like long lost sisters? Good energy from the jump, I think. Okay, so one thing you have to do throughout it is basically group work. So you are put in groups, which is all meant to be about like learning about different styles of working, and like, yeah, you really do learn how to work with basically every type of person under the sun. Every class you're put in groups to complete projects, but for one project called Entrepreneurial Project, you could pick your own teams, which when you're in the thick of an MBA, that is like gold dust. You're like, yes, I am not with the person that doesn't want to do any work, and I'm not going to be the person that does everything. I get to pick my people people. And so Joe and I were like, yeah, let's form a team of like 5 badass women and we'll come up with an idea. Whereas like lots of our other classmates were sort of going idea first and finding people who were like interested in sort of similar stuff to them. So we went team first. We found like 3 other amazing women from like different backgrounds, from different places. So we had one girl from North America, one from South America, and like one from Asia, and then us. And yeah, one night we got together and we were just sort of discussing, you know, what kind of ideas we could pitch for this entrepreneurial project, which was all about coming up with the concept, creating the deck, creating the model, and then pitching it live to investors. Just that evening, we all started talking about some of the female health issues we were experiencing respectively in our sort of late 20s and 30s. And I guess regardless of where we were from in the world, the conversation kept coming back to, well, you know, if somebody had told me about this, like I could have done something about it, or I wouldn't have had to suffer silence, or I could have raised the red flag earlier. And so this was back in like 2021 now, where femtech had just been labeled like femtech. It was starting to become a thing. We'd seen like pockets of activity in like the menopause space, the fertility space, the menstruation space. But a quick Google and like search of the market showed like that nobody was really looking after like adolescence, which is ultimately like when your body starts to change and really like where you should be taught like most of these things, or at least given a baseline level, so that if you do start to see some symptoms, you can go and get help about it, right? And so that's really where the idea for Luna came from. So essentially we pitched this idea of like a digital health companion, primarily for teenage girls and non-binary people aged 11 to 17, a space where they can access content in a way that they are used to. So super short articles and videos, all created by medical experts, whether that's like GP, psychologists, dermatologists, a place they could ask anonymous questions without being embarrassed and get a medically backed response, a place they could start like tracking their emotions and their periods, and then a place they could actually shop through Luna, so partnering with like the right products and brands that like are suitable for teens. So yeah, in short, we pitched this idea, we built the whole plan for it, and at the end the people on the panel turned around and said this is a really good idea. And the people on the panel were actually like legit investors, 2 of whom are investors in Luna today, and they turned around and said it's such a good idea, like who's taking this on after the MBA? And to be honest, like our response to that question was like, yeah, don't be silly, like no one, this is just a module, we're really high achievers, we just work into this because we wanted to get like top grades. But then actually on reflection and afterwards, Joe came to me and was like, oh, I've been like thinking like maybe there is like something in this and maybe we'd be really silly like not to do it. Do you want to go and run some more tests and speak to some users? Because we weren't allowed to do that as part of the project, like just actually see, is there really nothing out there for them? And yeah, that was the case, there really wasn't. And yeah, that was really like the start of the journey. And the other 3 team members went on to take careers in like scale ups, a tech company, and another startup. But yeah, they've all been sort of encouraging on the sidelines and will come to events and help like promote it and spread the word. But yeah, since October 2021, it's just been Joe and I. The first thing to say about business school is like they don't actually teach you about how to start a business. Like you need to incorporate, you need to find like a domain name and like handles. Like what about like accountants? And we were just like, we've just done like a whole amazing course on like how to get someone through like a merger and acquisition, but we don't even know like what do we do? And so we sat in this lobby and we were like, okay, so we have this idea, like, but what do we actually do? One of our MBA friends who like had done this before and like exited was like, just go and talk to people, get out there, go and talk to teenagers and just like listen to them and ideas will come. And so we decided to do like exactly that, and we just reached out to like anybody we knew at like schools, and we just went and we spoke to teens, and they were like giving us more ideas and like telling us, oh, that's really bad, like do this, don't that. And it got us to a point where we actually started to have a vision then of like what the app could look like. We had all these insights, and we basically like mocked up something on PowerPoint, first of all, of like what these screens could like look like. And we take it back to another school and then they'd say, oh, I don't like that. Like palette looks really bad. We did this for about 3 months. We were really lucky. We won a grant, which like helped cover like some of the costs. Again, we weren't taking a salary, but like it was paying for like train tickets and running like very small experiments. And then in January, we basically got to a point where we were like, okay, we think we know what it looks like. Should we just pay for like a designer to like bring it together? And we can try and like raise money and like bring a technical person on board. So we started having calls with like software engineers and companies, and basically with our 20k grant, we were not going to go anywhere with that. We were like, okay, well, let's go out and fundraise. And then we were like, okay, actually, like, have we got enough to go and fundraise? Like, yeah, we got a great idea. Yes, teenagers said they like it. Maybe we need to go like one step further before going and putting our name out there and raising. And so actually, like, we decided to create the very first version of the app ourselves. So Joe over Christmas like learned how to use one of these no-code tools and basically started to build the very bare bones of like the app and brought these PowerPoint designs to life. And then on the flip, we also then needed like medical content contributors. And I emailed like universities, like societies, anyone that would help because we didn't know that many like medical people between us. And like obviously nobody heard of us and nobody was responding. So Joe was like plugging away and I was like, great, we're gonna have a shell of something. We've got no content in it. But then somebody from our grant program was a doctor and put a tweet out for us. And then the ball started moving. We then got like lots of like medical students and junior doctors saying, like, I'm so aligned with your mission. Like, I'm happy to be on board with your pilot, which is what we were trying to do. And then we got about like 10 or 12 volunteers on board. We hired a studio for the day. We filmed some content and we just ran a very short program for 6 weeks of this pilot, of this very terrible first version of the app. Honestly, when you compare it to what it looks like now, it wasn't great, but it did what it needed to do and they used it. And then we were able to raise. So up until that point, so up until like March, everything was just us on a shoestring budget. We then raised March to May, our pre-seed, and then we were able to hire people. And then we were able to get a small office space. We were able to hire technical people, designers. So it was a hustle like the first 6 months. Like, I mean, we're still hustling. We just have more people to hustle with and to cry to. I wanted to give you quite a detailed view because lots of people, how do you do it? Did you just pay for someone offshore? Did you pay an agency and give them equity? Like, oh no, we did it ourselves. It looked terrible, but it gave us the metrics and the conviction to then go out and be like, they are using this rubbish version, so give us cash to make it better. Maybe just to like let people around you know what you're going through. I think for us or for me, I didn't like go out for 2 months. I just didn't have the energy. I was like continuously anxious and I just wanted to get it done. I just sort of said to everyone, I'm going into this fundraise tunnel and I'll be out in like whatever 2 months. And I just think, yeah, having people like be aware, but then also be around to support you because it is like an emotional roller coaster. And I've never felt that anxious before in my life. I'm lucky I'm generally not an anxious person, but you think a call's gone well and you know then you get a rejection email. Or I remember coming off a call being like, gosh, that person absolutely hated us, they were grilling us like, you're a consultant, like why would you want to do this? Well, that's like they're absolutely not going to invest. And then like, you know, the conversation was completely different and they were interested. And so yeah, I think for me it's just like making sure you've got support around you, and probably could have been a bit better about having like breaks and stuff like that. But I think inner me was like, just keep going, get it done. The quicker you get it done, like the quicker it's over. So yeah, I'll kind of take that learning into the next one, I think. I think we're both like very lucky to be supported by great partners. I think it's not easy being a partner of a co-founder. And yeah, I do remember sort of saying to Jez, like, are you sure you want to do this? Like, and kind of go on this journey with me. But he was like, girl, I saw you study for the GMAT for the MBA. I've seen it, like, we can do this. I think that is like massive. Someone to like help you cook food or to review documents or just, I don't know, we're so in the weeds, like someone to like be up a level and be like, okay, like let's just zoom out. This is like nothing. Why are you worrying? And then the second thing for me is like, I really do my best to try and get to like gym classes because that's what I really love doing. They are ridiculously expensive, but I have like said that this is the thing that makes me happy. And it's like the only 50 minutes I get in the day where like I'm so stressed about just getting through this class that like nothing can worry me. I'm like, I cannot like fall off this treadmill or whatever. So I think those two things are really important for me. I'm not saying I've got it 100% right. I go through weeks where that completely goes out the window. Joe's also been there to say like, Jazz, why don't you take a break? And I think the fact that Joe's really supportive of that as well, and the rest of the team is really important. First things first is we're not a diagnostic tool. So I think we're probably more an ed tech meets consumer platform, but with a focus on health. So we're never here to diagnose someone, say you have X or Y, but what we can say is like, you know, here are some red flags. And actually we will encourage people to go and speak to their GP or their dermatologist or, you know, whatever. And so I think that's like the first thing to say. In terms of vulnerability, we take safeguarding super, super seriously. I'm a school governor at my old school, so I've been through all the training. I see it firsthand in all the meetings. It's a closed platform, number one. They cannot talk to each other. Luna triages everything that comes through in the sense of like any question that gets asked must be approved by us. And if there is like a severe mental health risk or they need to go to A&E, like we will point them to the right places. But there is a big disclaimer saying this is not a health line or crisis service. Like if you have an issue, call 11 or 999. Got that sorted by the lawyers the minute we started. We have an advisor who's like the lead clinician for like safeguarding and adolescent health as one of our advisors. So she helped us construct our processes to make sure it's safe. And we always lean into her if we've got a question around, look, this question's coming. Is it a risk or is it not a risk? Or can we answer it and still be helpful? So we're leaning into 20 years plus of experience. And then in terms of like medics, yes, you do meet like a really big variety, some who are bigger risk takers than others. And for some, like a role at Luna is not for them. Probably a role in health tech isn't for them. That's probably because they are less risky. But even within our community, there is a mix. But we set the guidelines, like we have set stock answers, we have limits, and we are always there to help navigate the questions. And then Luna always approves everything that goes out to the user. So they are never talking to each other. Everything goes through us. And yeah, we interview everybody. We make sure they have the same sort of mission and alignment to what we're doing. And so I think we've brought like the right blend of people who really love our mission, clearly have a risky angle to them because they're like working for a startup, but they're also really passionate about this and give up their time after working long shifts, whether it's in the hospital or in GP practice, to come and talk to teens and help them and give them advice. So hopefully that answers your question. A couple of different angles there that we're taking. First things first is Joe and I are millennials and not Gen Zalpha, which is Z and Alpha. And so I think for us, having users at like the heart of everything we do, whether that is like color palette or branding and logo and social media, is so important because what we like is 100% not what they like. So like our first brand was like hot pink and purple, and they were like, yo, like what is this? Like we want pastel. And they were like, no. But now we get told like we're aesthetic. Yeah, building something for them and not us because we aren't the users is really important. It's not to say like we give them everything they want, and we also have to appease your teachers and your parents and your guardians. But yeah, I think in terms of like design decisions and validation, like having them on board is the most important thing. We're building for them, not us. Two things from me. I always say this one, but I'll just say it again, which is like, please try not to do it alone. Like it's really hard. Try and find someone to do it with and make sure that person you decide to build a business with is like someone you genuinely like love and are happy to like talk to day in, day out, be honest with in terms of how you're feeling. And yeah, just make sure you're aligned in terms of vision and stuff, because this is your work wife or work husband. And so I do think that is like really important. And then the second thing is, I do think like that I was personally very lucky to have like just finished the MBA. Like I just had a year off from work. I live in my grandma's house. I was privileged to be able to do this. It is like not everyone has that chance. Like not everyone can sacrifice no salary for like a bit or whatever. But there are ways that you can still get stuff off the ground. And I know it's difficult because clinicians and medics work a lot of hours, but those spare hours, like, do go out there and test it and build stuff. Or, there are organizations like accelerators, which like you could explore, whether that's taking a short career break and getting on one of them and seeing if an idea comes out of it, or there are pockets of grants and stuff like that. There is some like money and support in the ecosystem for people who like aren't 100% committed, but like want to explore it and stuff. And so I would definitely like highly encourage it. There's never going to be an easy time to just be like, right, I'm out, like I'm quitting, I'm doing this. You just got to test it like when you have time, and if you feel you've got strong enough conviction, then you quit everything and then you go. You have to try and like find some time, I guess. But yeah, it is possible, and you just got to hustle to like find the support and the funding, but it is out there. And yeah, it's an amazing journey being an entrepreneur. We couldn't be doing this without like the amazing medics on our team. So like shout out to them and to our community who like write content, read content, ask questions. Like we are merely the business side of this. Like we couldn't be doing it